Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers mailbag video here. Before we jump into your guys' questions as submitted by all of our subscribers on the channel, answer this question for me right now. Do you think the Steelers will win the division next season? I mean, they obviously didn't win it this past season, and yet still have an opportunity to turn things around quickly and maybe get back to top of the AFC North. If you think the Steelers win the division next year, let me know down below by liking this video right now. All right, let's go and jump into you guys' questions here. Again, our subscribers went ahead and asked these questions using the hashtag Steelers. That's how you be a part of next week's mailbag as well. And so, go in the comments right now, ask any question that you want, and maybe you can be like Kevin, who says, who do you think will be RB2? Will they stay in-house, free agency, draft? I say in draft, maybe you could find a quality RB in the 3rd or 4th round. I would not use 1st or 2nd round draft capital on running back since we have Najee Harris. Yes, I would agree on the latter part of that. You don't need to spend an early draft pick on Najee Harris, although it's a pretty strong running back draft class. You can think about guys like Breece Hall out of Iowa State. You think of Walker out of Michigan State. There are a lot of good running backs in this class. There are some later round options, right? We'll throw some up on the screen right now. Guys like Tyler Batty out of Missouri. Here's a guy who had 1,000 yards rushing last season, 1,600 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns. The way running backs work are a lot like the guy out of Missouri. They don't get a lot of love during the regular season because he goes to Missouri. It's like, oh, he's a Missouri running back, and so obviously Missouri didn't do very well this past season, so who really cares about him? Then you get to the draft, and it's like, oh, wait, Missouri had a star running back. Missouri had a 1,000-yard rusher, and that's how you find these guys in the later rounds of the NFL draft. And then you probably recognize that we'll also throw up there is Hassan Haskins out of Michigan, who had 20 touchdowns last season. Not necessarily, one of those, bad teams, good running back. It was a good team in Michigan, a good running back as well, and yet he won't go as high as some of these other running backs as well. But James Cook out of UGA. He's the younger brother of Dalvin Cook, and he's very much like his older brother. I mean, they're very similar in their running styles. They're very similar in their ability to, make some, nice gashes here and there. Also physical as well. He's very, very good in terms of catch and run. There are a lot of good backup running backs that you can go ahead and have in this year's draft. There are also some you get in free agency. We talk about those in a later video, but I do think they will go to either the draft or free agency to go ahead and solidify RB2. But just to put a bow on it, you do have Najee Harris. You don't need anybody super special to be RB2 because we all like what Najee had his rookie season. What do you guys think? Do the Steelers to draft a running back, or do you want to go ahead and have them pass on a running back? Type D down below for draft, or type P down below for pass. And while you're down there answering that pinned comment, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as we continue to grow here at incredible rates in terms of our Steelers news and rumor videos, our mailbag videos, all the different draft outlooks, the free agency outlooks. Maybe I'll do a free agent running back video next week. If you want to see that, go down below and subscribe as well. All right, next question here comes from Big Mac, who says, what are some options at cornerback in free agency and the draft that the Steelers could get to improve that position? So, you want to talk about free agent cornerback options. I mean, there are a lot of them. The problem is the ones at the top are very, very expensive. So here's a list of 5. These, to me, are the 5 most expensive ones that you can get, starting with J.C. Jackson, who is unbelievably incredible. One of the top cornerbacks in the league last year with New England, but everything I've read, he's going to cost $18 million a year. So you have money in free agency, but do you want to spend that kind of money, right? You have Stephon Gilmore, same kind of story, $14+ million a year, a little bit older, but a lockdown guy. You have Carlton Davis from the Buccaneers, often injured this year, but considered a very good number 1 option. Casey Hayward of the Raiders. You got DJ Reed from the Seahawks. You have Rasul Douglas from the Packers, not pictured. There's a lot of really good free agent cornerbacks you could go ahead and go out and get. Now, there are some good draft options as well, and you're not going to be getting the Ahmad Gardners of the world, the Derek Stingleys of the world. Those are first-round cornerbacks. What about Andre Booth out of Clemson? Probably a second-round guy, maybe mid to late second round. He's an option. I like him a lot. You have Elam out of Florida, or Elam out of Florida. He's really good as well, kind of the 3rd or 4th round. And so there are a lot of SEC cornerbacks, ACC cornerbacks, guys who have played in big-time games against big-time receivers who won't go in the 1st round that will be available as well. And so I do think there are plenty of options in free agency. You can go ahead and spend big if you want to. They have the money to do so. And so, maybe we'll wait and see. But the draft is also full of corners. It's a corner-heavy draft, and there are some opportunities to go ahead and improve a position that it is much needed because, of course, Joe Haden is likely not going to resign. All right, we'll get into King Ali's question here in just 1 second. First, shout out to our friends at BetUS, your one-stop betting shop for all your different betting needs. Even though the football season is over, you can bet on baseball, if we have a baseball season. You can bet on basketball right now. You can bet on NASCAR, bet on golf. I mean, literally, you can bet on almost all sports with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet is the link that you need. The promo code is Steelers125, which gives you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Meaning, you put your $100 down, and they give you an extra $125 for free to bet with. That's the promo code that's running right now. Link is on your screen right now, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code again, Steelers125. King Ali 144 says, do you believe Pat Meyer will get the O-line unit turned around? Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if Pat fixes the offensive line. I think that he's going to be, I think he's the right man for the job. I'm not saying that he's not, but I don't think the O-line is necessarily we need to make these players play a little bit better. Now, there is plenty of room for improvement up and down this offensive line depth chart. It's still a very young group overall, but for me, it's very simple. Like, you need new bodies to fix the offensive line. You need to go ahead and find that person in the first round, maybe the second round, the third round, maybe some options in free agency, and bring in some actual talent, some actual good players to fix the offensive line. Can you, again, get improvement from the current guys that are on the depth chart? Sure. I mean, there's still plenty of improvement from left tackle all the way to right tackle, but I think if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm either spending big in free agency on a lot of, maybe one or two offensive linemen, and there are some good ones in offensive, free agency. We talked about that here on the channel, but the draft is very strong as well. I've seen Pat Freiermuth being mocked to the Steelers a lot over the past couple of weeks. The superstar center out of Iowa, not Pat Freiermuth, sorry, Tyler Linderbaum. I don't know why I said Pat Freiermuth. Tyler Linderbaum, the center out of Iowa, he's been mocked to the Steelers a lot as a first-round option if they don't go cornerback. Either way, whoever is going to be the quarterback of the Steelers offense, this is the one concern here because, they can easily address wide receiver this offseason. They have a great running back. You've got to improve the offensive line. I would go out and sign some people, draft some people, and that is how I would improve it overall. What's your confidence level in the Steelers in terms of their ability to have a top 10 offensive line? Sorry, talk about top 15 offensive line next season on a scale of 1 to 10, right? If you think they're going to have, for sure, a top 15 offensive lineman, go down below and give me a 10. If you think they will not have a top 10 offensive lineman, give me a 1. I'm at like a 7 because I am confident they're going to make some moves in free agency. They have the money to do so, and I think offensive line is where they're going to go. Give me your thoughts down below right now. All right, Wildstart says, thoughts on signing Jimmy G to a 1-year deal. Using a second-round pick to acquire, using our first-round pick to strengthen the offensive line, and signing free agents to strengthen our receiver and O-line cores. Then we choose from high-quality quarterbacks in next year's draft if Jimmy isn't turning out to be the one for Pittsburgh. Honestly, I love the idea. I think this is a great idea. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is overrated a lot, and I think that if you were to get him for a second and still keep your first-round draft pick, draft Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa, we just mentioned him, you can really make some improvements. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo gets a lot of hate because he loses big games, but he gets you to those big games. Like, that's my whole thought process on Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy G could win a lot of games in Pittsburgh. The defense is ready to go, and as you mentioned, you have money to fix the offensive line, fix the wide receiver position, and save your first-round draft pick, and then you can draft a replacement next season during a much stronger quarterback draft, which will include Alabama's Bryce Young. Jimmy G has been to a Super Bowl. He had a lead in a Super Bowl. He went to an NFC Championship game this year, even though he beat the Packers on the road, even though he wasn't great in that game. I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo is this great, elite superstar quarterback, but I think he is very, very good and has proven to be, if he's on the right roster with a good defense, as the Steelers have, he can win a lot of games. I'm very much in favor of Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers is a better pick. Garoppolo is still younger than both of those players and way cheaper. You don't have to get rid of 3 first-round draft picks to acquire either one of those, and that's a key thing to think about when you're trying to rebuild the Pittsburgh Steelers from the quarterback position. We'll do one more here. Christopher C. says, sign Jameis for 1 year, a top 3 DB for 2 to 4, and a 1 to 2 Band-Aid O-line in free agency. Draft best defensive back, offensive lineman in first 2 rounds. Realistic, what players make sense? Everything you said there is fine. I'm fine with signing a defensive back. We talked about that. I think getting some O-line free agents and also drafting offensive linemen is important. We talk about Jameis Winston, though. I'm a little out on Jameis Winston. A major surgery, and I don't... I just talked about how Jimmy Garoppolo can win in the right situation. Jameis was winning in the right situation, but we didn't see an extended period of time of winning. And you go back to his time, obviously, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a lot of the players that Brady then won with were on that roster. Now, obviously, Tom Brady and Jameis Winston are very different, and so rightfully so, they were way better with Brady, but you still wonder if Jameis Winston can actually lead a football team and be a really good franchise quarterback. To me, too much of a risk. I would much rather have Jimmy G than Jameis Winston. I think that Winston's going to probably re-sign with the Saints. That's my opinion on that because he's comfortable there. But I would definitely go with Jimmy Garoppolo over Jameis Winston. But everything else you say here in terms of top 3 DB and offensive line help and drafting corner or offensive line, fine with that. Good move. I think we're all on the same page here in terms of comes to the NFL draft. I'll end on this. Who do you think is better, Jimmy G or Jameis Winston? Like, seriously, would you rather have Jimmy G or Jameis Winston? I think most people will say Jimmy G, but we'll see. Type G down below for Jimmy G or type W down below for Jameis Winston. All right, ultimate video today on our Pittsburgh Steelers mailbag video here. Any other questions that you have? If you missed any of them, don't worry. We're going to do a mailbag video next week. And so all you got to do is be a subscriber by going down below and hitting that red subscribe button. And also using the hashtag Steelers in the comments section to ask away. A lot of these questions were pulled from last week's mailbag video. And so get ahead of the game and comment down below right now. Again, all time every day in our Steelers mailbag video. I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.